Okay, so I was just thinking the other day, and I was like, man, it would be so much fun to be in a play. Any play. But then today, like you were talking earlier, what character would you play from this?
Like Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah, if it was a play of the Count of Monte Cristo, what character would you be? What character would be the funnest to play?
Personally, I think Monte Cristo would be the funnest because he has the most stuff. But, character to be, I like Albert a lot. Albert's one of my favorite characters. Albert. I wouldn't be Valentine, but I like Valentine. I also like Maximilian.
Yeah.
Probably Maximilian. I like him. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to play. I guess it kind of depends on,
I wouldn't want to live through the experiences of Valentine. Yeah. Valentine's experiences are pretty tough, especially going forward.
If you're talking about, actually living through them, that's a whole different thing. But if it's, just playing a character, one would in a play, then it would be, fun to play Edmund, because you have to go through the character change, and it would just be fun to do
you get to switch characters all the time.
Be an innocent little kid to a prison-changed grown dude.
Yeah.
That puts on way too many disguises. So anyways.
He does. All right.
Let's get into it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Hit it. All right, guys. Welcome back to Bursting Bookshelves. Season 1, Episode 10.
We're getting there.
And this one is called One Down, Two to Go. So this is. Yeah, you're welcome.
That was me.
This is that is him. That's great. It's good. It's good.
See, title. I'm good at it sometimes. I do have talents, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So
you're a very talented person. All right. Anyway, so 1 down, 2 to go. We'll discuss that a little more at the end because there's a caveat. Anyway,
I won't say anything.
Okay. So chapter 78, because we left off at chapter 77 last time. So a great deal happens in this chapter. Franz ends his engagement with Valentine because of the whole "your grandpa killed my dad" thing.
Naturally.
Yeah.
This one does.
So Noirtier then promptly re-inherits Valentine in his will, where it's a new will, tears the other one up. She tells Maximilian the good news. Yeah, right.
Take that, buddy. Turns out it was all just against you.
So Valentine tells Maximilian the good news. And Danglars breaks off Eugenie's engagement to Albert to Fernand's face. So, two engagements are broken off here. Yeah, and this was so Fernand comes to solidify the engagement, and Danglars is like, no, I'm not doing it.
He's like, hey, watch this. No.
So he hints. Danglars hints at some sort of scandal that he has unearthed that may or may not have to do with Fernand himself.
And Fernand's
scared.
Fernand
he gets
doesn't.
Scared right
Fernand. You forget it. Never mind. He doesn't have a clue of
what it is. Well, he might guess because I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has plenty of scandalous things in his past.
He probably doesn't immediately assume that he knows. He's just like, oh, well, that's lame. Guess I'll have to find somebody else.
Right. So, but it's actually not the real reason, this scandal that we're going to get into in a little bit. I don't think that's the real reason why Danglars breaks it off. The real reason is because he found a new, bigger gem in Andrea Cavalcanti.
He's like, this guy's a prince. That guy's
not.
Not. He's a little average.
Yeah.
Slightly below.
So, okay.
Anyways.
So, Albert visits the Count of Monte Cristo to tell him that he is going to challenge a reporter friend whose name is Beauchamp. Beauchamp.
However you pronounce it.
I think I'm going to say it Beauchamp. I'm sorry if it's wrong. I think it's right, Beauchamp. Because
like we said before, if anybody knows any correct French pronunciations and you know a way that will make it easier for us, please comment below.
Because French is none too easy.
Give us advice.
So this was published in a newspaper that Beauchamp works at. This was published. Quote, a correspondent writes from Yanina. We have learned that a fact which has remained unknown, or at least unpublished up to now. The castles defending the town were betrayed to the Turks by a French officer whom the vizier, Ali Tebelin, had placed all his trust. His name was Fernand. That's from the 871st page of the book. So, this does not immediately say that Fernand is the Count de Morcerf. Albert's father. There are lots of Fernands who are French, apparently, who could have done this. But Albert is still like really mad, and he wants Beaucamp's paper and Beaucamp himself to either print a retraction of the news or to specify that they do not mean his father. They mean someone else.
I was going to say, because Danglars did know who exactly it was.
Oh yeah, and he was the one. He was the one who sent this news.
I know who this is, so that makes sense. But Albert would know his own dad's name, right?
Yeah, Albert knows his name is Fernand, but it doesn't say his last name here, so it could be any Fernand theoretically.
Right.
So even though the Count points out that there are any number of French officers named Fernand, Albert insists on going to challenge Beaucamp unless he retracts the item or makes clear that it is not his father in it.
What I don't get is why doesn't Cristo just say, yeah, it's your dad. Yep, you're correct.
Well, maybe he wants to prolong it.
Like
maybe he wants to try to turn the blame off of him for some time, for some reason. So he's not going right up to Albert, because if he had said that right in front of Albert's face, then Albert might have killed him then. There would have been a duel. It would have been not very pretty right there. So, but right now he goes to Beaucamp and challenges him to a duel, and they have a understandably angry interview. And the duel is scheduled for 3 weeks in advance.
Oh man, every time.
Yeah. So for that, by the way, we're changing up the format a little bit. Instead of doing the characters after the chapter notes, I'm doing the characters in the middle of the chapter notes. So each character for each chapter, each character note for each chapter. So I'm hoping that'll be a little less confusing.
Rabbit holes, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, right.
So you mean like one character every chapter?
Well, however many character notes I had for each chapter,
okay.
I'll do the character notes for each chapter after I do the notes for that chapter. Anyway,
right.
So for Albert, I just wrote that he is very stubborn and hot-headed, like across the board. He has other things too, but he has a very proud and hot-headed nature. He gets angry easily.
Easily offended.
Yeah, because that's very easily offended right there. It didn't even say anything about your dad. It's just his first name, and he gets offended.
Random guy named Fernand who happens to be a French officer who is really good at portraying people for some reason. Could be anybody.
So that's chapter.
The fact that he was like, no, it's my dad, is like, somebody who's not a very good person. His son is like, oh no, it's my dad. I knew it. Still is something about that guy.
All right, chapter 79. So Maximilian visits Valentine and Noirtier openly. He has no reason not to. He goes and sees them. So Noirtier has Valentine outline a plan for her, marrying Maximilian, and for Noirtier to find lodgings outside of the Villefort home. And basically what they're saying here is, okay, Noirtier's like, okay, you need to be patient. We'll get you guys married. We'll get me out of here. But we need to be patient. We can't rush this right now. So as they finish their meeting, Barroise... Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Who's Barroise?
Barroise, Noirtier's old servant. Okay. He falls into a violent fit and soon dies after drinking some of Noirtier's lemonade.
I remember him.
Yeah.
I
like Barroise, personally.
I liked him. Yeah, he was such a good servant, too.
Yeah.
And he understood the old guy. Which
exactly. Not many people did. So, but he drinks some of his master's lemonade because he had gone to get Maximilian, and Maximilian had pretty much said okay and sprinted back, and Barroise followed him and was not as fit as Maximilian, so he's really tired and huffing and puffing, so he got some of the lemonade. He drank the lemonade, he falls down and dies. Pretty much, yeah. So the doctor comes, and by observing Barroise before he dies and testing what is left of the lemonade, he confides to Villefort that he is sure that the sudden death was caused by poison. So this is the second. Yeah, this is the second death in the Villefort house that this doctor has attributed to poison, in a row.
That's funny. He just kind of gets a cup. Yep, poison. All right, moving on.
That's pretty much exactly how it goes.
I'm sorry, you just drank poison.
Wait, no. He just tasted it a little bit. He got a little
just enough
just
to know
a little bit.
What it is, not enough to just die immediately.
Yeah. So but the doctor also suspects that Valentine did the poisoning, and that she is the murderer, and that she was trying to poison her grandfather. So there is evidence to support this theory, such as that Noirtier had just re-inherited her, and that she had access to his drink. So she wouldn't have needed to kill him if all his money was going elsewhere if he died. But now that all his money is going to her, she has a motive now to get rid of him. So the doctor said,
this is Villefort?
This is the doctor.
That is assuming that it's...
no, the doctor is, and Villefort doesn't want to believe it.
The doctor... Okay, so the doctor is accusing... Okay, for some reason I thought it was Villefort that was accusing him.
No, Villefort doesn't like this.
Oh, he was a dod. Not a very good one, but, I mean, better than that.
Yeah. So the doctor says that the only reason that the poison did not kill Noirtier when he drank the lemonade...
Because he had been slowly using it?
Yeah, he'd been slowly dosing Noirtier
he's
with that same poison.
Agent, like, obviously.
What do you mean?
Dangerous life, man.
Well, no, he wasn't dosing him to make sure he was immune to the poison. He was dosing him as a medicine. He was using whatever kind of poison it would use as a medicine.
Noirtier probably also was... He probably would have done something like that when he was able to, like, control his own...
Oh, I don't know.
Numbers.
I mean, it's a pretty dangerous time to be alive at this point.
Yeah, so he probably would have taken some precautions.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had built up a slow immunity to it. So drinking this poison would not have killed him in the same way. Like definitely would have. No, it's not. It's not killing him. It like killed another person. Killed Barrois like straight out of the gate really quickly. So, chapter. Oh, and then Villefort. So Villefort, his household is crumbling around him. His parents-in-law die, and then his father's servant, after the servant drinks from his master's cup. So, like, he has lost, like, 3 relatives in the past, like, week, maybe.
Yeah.
Or not very long. So this is not looking good for him. And we're going to see that he is going to start to deteriorate mentally in a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to chapter 80. So the doctor, who is a surprisingly ardent and intelligent man, I wish they developed him more, to be perfectly honest.
The doctor?
Yeah, this doctor is quite a cool guy.
I guess they don't really do that for side characters. They're just kind of like, he's the doctor. He kind of does this or whatever.
But they offer little hints at his backstory. His name was d'Armillet, I think.
D'Armillet?
D'Armillet, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, but anyway, he's nice, he's a cool guy.
D'Armillet.
So he condemns Valentine, like, he condemns Valentine to her father. So she did it. She's guilty of all 3 of these murders. He says that she murdered her grandfather as well, even though he wasn't at the house when it happened, I think. So Villefort is, like, horror-stricken, and he can't believe it, even though there is a good deal of evidence supporting it, for he loves Valentine, and loves still more his high reputation.
So maybe the doctor is secretly out to destroy this kid. He's just like...
Well,
he doesn't.
I don't think so. I think that he's just looking at all the evidence. And it's like, okay, it points to Valentine. I'm going to accuse him.
I see. Which is weird because he's a doctor. He shouldn't really care.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's why he actually agrees to keep the secret.
Oh.
But Villefort's like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody because how good would it look if the Crown prosecutor's own daughter was a serial murderer? That would not. Yeah. That would not look
back then.
Good.
That would have.
Back then.
That would have...
now.
Well, I mean, obviously right now, but I mean specifically back then, it would have made their station a lot worse. Like, it would have messed up their life more than it already is.
Yeah. So the doctor agrees to keep the secret, as I already said. Yeah, back then.
I mean, I don't think there's too many people that are around, like, prosecutors or whatever anymore.
Well,
I don't think that's a real...
Well, but, like, what if, like, I don't know, some high-ranking official in the United States government...
Yeah. Even then, they probably could find a way to just cover it up and be like, what? You sure it was me?
That gets you in trouble. Anyway.
I mean, look at our president.
Well, whatever. So, that evening, all of Villefort's servants resign. So, they're all like, death's in his house. Not cool. We're leaving.
I'm out.
Literally. So, Villefort, he can't stand to see his reputation in peril if Valentine is really guilty of the murderers. So much so that he's trying to cover it up. He's, like, covering up these murders.
Suicide?
The doctor's like, sure, he's dead sure that this is murder by poison. But Villefort's like, okay, no, we're not going to tell anybody. We're just going to keep it hush-hush. So he's actually breaking the law himself by, I assume French law prohibits obstruction of justice in this way.
Probably.
Yeah.
But he's probably thinking, who's going to know?
Yeah, who's going to know? Oh, brother.
Somebody's going to know.
All right, so chapter 81. Andrea Cavalcanti visits his old acquaintance Caderousse.
Is this all happening at the same time?
Like roughly sequential, but not precisely.
Okay.
So Andrea Cavalcanti, he visits Caderousse, and Caderousse, who clearly has some more plans to extort some money from him,
Mula.
Yep. So over a home-cooked meal, he has Andrea sketch out a plan of the Count's house, as well as tell him the Count's habits. Andrea has been paying attention, and he willingly hands over all these details.
And Andrea's just like, yeah, sure, man.
Yeah.
Go for it, dude.
And so it is pretty obvious that Caderousse is intending to break in and steal some valuables from the Count. And Andrea just hands over all this information without, like, trying to get a cut of it or trying to stop him or anything. So, like, does he have an ulterior motive? Is there there's something else going on here? We don't know yet. And Caderousse also takes a diamond ring from him, just like as a little side thing.
Shoot.
Yeah.
I'll be taking that.
Mm-hmm. So the Count is going to be away at his Altai house, and Andrea told Caderousse that, and Caderousse plans to break in then. So
yeah.
So Caderousse has found a portal into a much more affluent class through Andrea, and he is not about to squander this opportunity to enrich himself slightly.
And Andrea is on the other side, I guess, probably.
Yeah.
Odd intentions.
And so, like, yeah, Andrea Cavalcanti is kind of like an odd bridge between vagabond and social elite. Because you remember, he got out of prison. Like, he escaped from prison.
Right, yeah.
We're actually going to figure that out in a second.
Doesn't really explain that.
Like, he was in prison for something, I don't remember quite what, after he ran away from Bertuccio. No, he didn't get caught for that. He ran away.
I know, but I thought he was. I did think he went to prison for murder later.
Oh, I don't know.
He had murdered somebody else, and they were like, I don't like that, man.
So, like, he has these quote-unquote vulgar instincts. It says that in the book. But, like, he also has, like, courtly manners. So it's this rough hodgepodge. He's trying to fit into this higher society. But it's, like, he's still kind of a rough base character in a lot of ways.
Not really sure in all of his thoughts.
Yeah. No way. Definitely not. So, in chapter 82, that is, Caderousse, like, goes and robs the Count's house in Paris.
Shh, put your hands up.
Well, no. He's expecting the Count not to be there. Yeah. We're French here. So the Count is actually, he's there. He's not at his Altai house. He was going to be. But then he received an anonymous letter tipping him off that someone was going to break in.
We all knew who that was.
Yep.
Andre was like, yeah, sure. He's coming to rob you. What?
So when he sees that the robber is Caderousse, he is very surprised. So he did not see this coming.
Anyways, keep going.
Okay, I'll ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very surprised. He confronts him as Abbe Busoni. He puts on his like wig and his clothes and confronts him. Abbe Busoni.
A beard, probably some extra hair.
So Caderousse remembers and knows Abbe Busoni. Because he was the one who gave him the diamond.
He's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Whoa. So Abbe Busoni, he makes Caderousse write a letter to Danglars explaining who Andrea Cavalcanti is. Then he makes him sign it, I think. Actually, no, he doesn't make him sign it. That's later. Anyway. So then he lets Caderousse go.
Wait, why?
Claiming God's mercy.
I mean, why does he make Danglars? Why does he make him write the letter to him?
I don't remember. He's obviously going to use it later on, probably.
Yeah. But I mean, like, what would Danglars, knowing who he is, help anything?
His wife's a legitimate child.
I know, but he doesn't know that.
But if he does, that's what the letter explains. He's a convicted convict
so I guess,
named Benedetto, who is.
So I guess Count Cristo is kind of like giving us some hopes that he.
Actually, I don't know if the letter explains that Benedetto is.
Benedetto.
Yeah, is his wife's illegitimate son.
But that's a whole different subject there.
But I think it says that he is he's a criminal, bad guy.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So, but then he does let Caderousse go, and as Caderousse is climbing back over the wall, a man appears and stabs him 3 times and leaves him for dead. So, just all of a sudden, out of the blue, this happens. So he cries for help.
Stabbing people in the back.
Who does?
Andrea Cavalcanti or Benedetto.
He does.
Yeah, he stabbed Villevort. He was just like,
that wasn't Benedetto.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It was Bertuccio.
It was somebody.
That was Bertuccio.
Those 2 characters are so annoyingly similar.
Bertuccio and Benedetto, 2 B's.
So annoying.
Right. Anyway, this guy stabs him. It's Andrea, actually. He cries for help.
I knew it.
Yep. Huh. He cries for help, and the Abbe, and Ali, his servant, rush out and take him into the house.
Isn't that the deaf and dumb guy that couldn't speak or
the African dude?
Right. Yeah, but he was like.
He wasn't deaf. He was dumb.
Right. He couldn't speak. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But I thought he couldn't hear either because when he visits Sinbad, the guy does the whole time he's signing to him every time he has to do something.
I think he can't speak.
Oh man, I can't remember.
I can't remember it, but I think it's just that he can't speak.
I thought
The
that's
Count
why-
talks to him sometimes.
I thought that's why he wasn't scared of the horses, because he was just like,
No, I think he's just not scared of the horses because he's just a really
just
brave
like,
dude.
I can just do this. He's like, good luck, buddy.
So I had a note for Dante's here.
Okay.
So the Count. So he didn't predict the robbery. He didn't know this was going to happen. He also didn't know that Caderousse was going to re-enter the plot.
Which is curious as to why he's in the garb of Abbe Busoni.
Well, I think he just was thinking fast, and he's like, okay, I'm going to confront this guy
He
in
was
the
like,
way that he
might as
knows.
well. He knows this character. Not a good time to bring in another character.
Yeah, so
Why
he's
appear as myself when I could appear as a different version of myself?
Well, I think he did that because Caderousse doesn't know anything about the Count of Monte Cristo. If he had, he wouldn't have robbed him. But he does know something about Abbe Busoni.
Right, because Abbe Busoni is supposedly a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
So
little does he know.
he's actually incredulous about this letter that he got telling him about the robbery. He's like, he only just decides to come. He almost went to the police, I think. He was told not to by the letter. So he very quickly adapts the new circumstance to reinforce his position as a godlike figure. For he had seen this murderer in the night and had let Caderousse go to his death on purpose. So he saw this guy on the wall waiting for Caderousse to come out.
Like,
And so he lets him go, knowing that he'll probably...
Popcorn.
Yeah. And then he'll probably get hurt there.
Yeah.
So, in
Here's
chapter
that.
83, Caderousse is dying. He's like in the Count's house again, and he's dying. The Abbé rebukes him for, quote, for ignoring God's hand at work in his life, guiding him along the right path, so that he now has come to this grisly
supposable
end.
right path.
Yeah, whatever
Look
the right
who's
path is
talking.
in the Count of Monte Cristo's idea.
I mean, look at who's talking.
Yeah.
For real.
So he rebukes him for doing this, even when God offers him mercy, like for getting for not being condemned to death, but for just going to jail for life. So we're going to read a section on that.
Right. So I'm going to read a few paragraphs of their conversation, starting off with Caderousse. You wretch! You did at least consider it a pardon when it was given.
That's not Caderousse. That is Dante's.
Oh, that is Dante's. Right. Sorry, I got confused. Dante's talking to Caderousse in the garb of Abbe Busoni. You wretch! You did at least consider it a pardon when it was given you. Your cowardly heart, trembling at the prospect of death, leapt with joy at the announcement of your perpetual shame, because, like all convicts, you said to yourself, prisons have doors. The tomb has none. You were right, because the door to your prison opened unexpectedly. An Englishman visiting from Toulon has made a vow to free 2 men from infamy. He chooses you and your companion. A second fortune drops on you from heaven. You regain both money and ease. You can once more live the life of other men after having been condemned to live that of a convict. And at this, you wretch, you begin to tempt God for a third time, saying, I haven't got enough, when you have more than you ever possessed. And you commit a third crime, motiveless and inexcusable. But God had grown tired. He has punished you. Caderousse was weakening visibly. He said, Water, I'm thirsty. Monte Cristo gave him a glass of water. That scoundrel Benedetto, Caderousse said, giving back the glass of water. He'll get away with it, even so. No one will escape. I'm telling you that, Caderousse. Benedetto will be punished. Then you too will be punished, said Caderousse, because you did not do your duty as a priest. You should have stopped Benedetto killing me. I, said the Count, with a smile that made the dead man shudder with fear. I stopped Benedetto killing you, just after you had broken your dagger on the mail coat protecting my chest. Perhaps, yes, if I had found you humble and repentant, then I should have stopped Benedetto killing you, but I found you arrogant and bloodthirsty, so I let God's will be done.
Okay, so this is kind of like going with the Count's narrative of a very sort of give and take God that we serve or we have.
Okay.
So, like, he's presenting God as someone who directly punishes all of our faults.
Save that one for later.
Yeah, right. So, like, and he's also presenting himself as kind of like God. He's able to decide he's able to decide when and when it is not right to punish a person. He decided to let Caderousse go because Caderousse had just tried to stab him. He did, but he had a milk coat on, so it didn't work.
I guess as a priest, I could see why people would like assume that, or like whatever.
Yeah,
because like as a priest, he would supposedly be religious.
He's not really a very religious guy, would you say?
Not him, but in the garb of Abbe Busoni, he's supposed to be assuming this role of priest or whatever. So Caderousse being like, as a priest, you're supposed to be
helping me, not like
you're supposed to be helping as someone who believes in this, as he says, supposedly God. But even they continue their conversation after that. Caderousse, after he says that he's going to just leave Caderousse to be punished by God, Caderousse is like, you don't believe in God. Neither do I. So where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Which is funny because he's talking to a priest. So like,
the priest should believe in God. Like the priest, if he like Monte Cristo, if he does believe in God, he has an incredibly misguided view of him, this just sort of tyrannical judge, and in some ways that is who I believe God is. But God is far more a merciful creator.
Some people read God's whole being as the wrong interpretation, and it seems like this is one of the
wrong interpretations. Yes. All right. So Caderousse says that it was Benedetto that killed him, and he writes a condemnation of him and like signs it. Though in this he does not say that Benedetto is Andrea Cavalcanti. So like, yeah. So this makes sense because he encouraged Caderousse to rob the house as a way to get him out of the way by murdering him. So Andrea was like, okay, I'll give you all the information you need to rob the house. I'll wait for you when you come out. I'll ambush you and get you. So I won't have to pay you money anymore.
But I will only tell you
can't blackmail me anymore.
About the house part, not the rest of it.
Huh? What do you say?
Well, Caderousse's whole plan. Benedetto's plan is he's like he gives him the whole like itinerary of the guy's house or whatever, the map of this guy's house, and he's like, yeah, sure, man, I'll be waiting forever. But then silently he's also like, to kill you.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah, I'll wait.
So he also says, Caderousse says, that he doesn't believe in God. Then the Count whispers his real name to him, and Caderousse calls on God's name in fearful amazement and dies. So that's a bit of a dramatic end to one of our beginning characters. Caderousse wasn't really a central enemy of the Counts, but he was kind of like, he was at the beginning.
He's like, this is going to be fun. This guy's on his deathbed. Oh, by the way, I'm Edmond Dantes. Oh, and he's dead.
And we don't hear him whisper the name. He just like, and then Caderousse, it's like, and then dies. Kind of how it works.
He's just like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, he would not have broken into this house if he had known who owned it.
I can take off this wig now, I guess.
So chapter 84. Everyone talks about the Count's break-in. Benedetto is searched for but not found, obviously. And the wedding between Andrea and Eugenie is anticipated, paradoxically, because everyone's looking for Benedetto, and Benedetto is about to marry the daughter of the richest banker in Paris.
But they don't know that yet.
They don't know that.
Monte Cristo does.
Monte Cristo does.
Like,
and so does Bertuccio.
I know something you don't.
So, Beauchamp, the reporter, who was challenged to a duel by Albert, he returns from Greece, where he has been in Yanina, seeing if that news article that Albert was so mad about is actually true. So, he visits Albert and tells him that not only is it true, but that it really was his father that betrayed Ali Tebelin. Instead of getting really mad and fighting a duel, however, Beauchamp agrees to keep the secret for Albert and his family.
And this is the reporter guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reporter guy. He actually had nothing to do with the original piece that was published in his paper. Someone else had to do with that. But he got really interested when Albert came and confronted him, and so he went to Yanina in Greece and figured it out and tried to. And he discovered that it was real. Oh, I mean, there's probably news sources there that he could find. Probably wasn't a secret who had done it. It just hadn't made its way to the top of Greek society yet.
I guess he could have asked the. Never mind, I'll say it later. I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I don't remember who he asked. So he and Albert take a walk, the best of friends. So Albert forgives him, pretty much.
He's like, "Oh, it's okay. Water under the bridge. Let's go walk."
But Albert, no, he's not like that, because Albert, he's still a bit low, as you could imagine. Your dad's reputation is forever sullied in your eyes.
Couch.
What?
Let's eat some ice cream and cry.
We're not in the 21st century yet. They don't do that.
Right. Let's go shoot some birds.
I think they went I think they were going to go riding or something. But then they decided to go walking. So even though the secret is safe with Beauchamp, there is still someone who knows the secret and reported it to the paper in the first place, Albert surmises. Mm-hmm. For Beauchamp had nothing to do with the first piece published, as I just said. So there's someone out there who knows about this secret.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
And since it really was his father that was the betrayer, Albert knows that there is someone out there who knows a big, dirty secret about his dad.
He doesn't know who it is.
He doesn't know who it is. So that's a little scary for him. Yeah. So Albert is very respectful and adoring of his father, and he cannot imagine how he will live now that he knows that his father's reputation is not as stellar as he once thought. It's actually pretty pitiful, if you ask me.
Oh, man, my dad's actually a terrible person.
Bummer. I hate it when that happens.
Put faith in the wrong person.
So, chapter 85. Albert, who is extremely upset, visits the Count and agrees to go to the country with him for a few days of, just outdoor recreational activities. Take a vacation. Right. In other words. So, he has a wonderful time. He has fun with the Count. It's physically exhausting. But then, his valet comes with the message that his father's secret has been published in a newspaper for all to read. Albert immediately sets out for Paris, even more frazzled than before. So he'd been beginning to get back his flamboyance. But then when this news reaches him, he just he's pretty upset. But his well-being is apparently tied up in the reputation of his family. So he cares a lot about the reputation of his family, which is kind of cool, I think.
I mean, yeah. It's something to be
I wouldn't fight a duel over it.
Something that would make it honorable, I guess. It was something that would be honorable about him is his dedication to his family. Yeah. Loyalty, I guess.
He's willing to risk his life.
Wrong person, but still.
I think they were willing to risk their lives over insults more than they are these days.
Yeah. Sometimes people still do that, though, and you're like...
They don't fight duels today.
Not duels, they just shoot you.
Well...
I guess over more...
Depends who you are.
I guess... But, if this sort of thing were to happen nowadays, he wouldn't have had this whole scheme. He would have just been like, pew, pew, pew. All right.
No, he would have been like, oh, cool, my dad's a jerk. I'll move on. So they didn't treat family honor. Huh?
Edmund, if that would have happened nowadays, Edmund would have just been like, all right. Yep. He wouldn't even carried out this whole plan, man.
Yeah, no, it's like...
He would have just,
Well, I don't know. I'm sure revenge still happens. Revenge definitely still happens today.
Nobody thinks to it this much.
I don't know. I don't know
It would have to be some
But it's not a societal norm to take revenge, in duels and stuff. We definitely don't do that anymore. Anyway, let's move on. So, when Albert returns to the city, Beauchamp tells him the story of his father's fall.
Have you pronounced that one?
Yep. So... When Beauchamp tells him the story. So when his father was at the government assembly, which is kind of like Congress, don't know exactly what it was.
Like a court, kind of.
Well, it wasn't a court because it wasn't the judicial arm of the French government.
Fernand's thing?
Yeah, Fernand de Morcerf was in government.
I see.
So he was presented, Morcerf that is, Fernand, he was presented with the accusation that he was the officer who, having been given all the trust of Ali Tebelin, to get him out of a tight spot, betrayed him to his enemies. So an official investigation is launched to see whether or not this is true. Fernand prepares his defense. He kind of guessed that this might happen one day. He's kind of frazzled by it, but he knows this. He knows this is going to. He figured this was going to happen, so he had made some steps, gathered some paperwork to kind of solidify his defense.
Yeah.
And his main plank is that this guy trusted me completely. Why would I betray him? Kind of. He had complete trust in Fernand. So, But the defense is going like really well. He's convincing everybody's on his side, until a woman shows up. And this woman is Ide.
Mm-hmm.
So Ide shows up and gives her testimony, and it's quite passionate and ardent.
Her side, I guess.
Yeah. And this testimony is not very good for him.
At all.
Nope. Bad.
Yeah.
So we're going to read another section from the book.
It's not necessarily the testimony per se. Like, it's not the whole story, which I'm sad about. But
yeah,
it is mostly just...
Yeah, so actually she doesn't give her full story here. She just kind of comes in and says that he was the bad guy.
You'll figure it out.
She doesn't tell the whole story in this section.
Monsieur de Morcerf, said the chairman, do you recognize this lady as the daughter of Ali Tebelin, the Pasha of Jenin? No, Morcerf said, attempting to rise. This is a tissue of lies, woven by my enemies. Ide, who had been looking intently towards the door as if expecting someone, turned sharply, and seeing the Count on his feet, gave an awful cry. You do not recognize me, she said. Well, fortunately, I recognize you. You are Fernand Mondego, the Frankish officer who was instructor to the troops of my father. It was you who betrayed the castles of Janina. It was you who, having been sent by your benefactor to deal directly on the matter of his life or death with the emperor, brought back a false firman, giving him a complete pardon. It was you who, with this firman, obtained the Pasha's ring, which would command, and the obedience of Salim, keeper of the fire. Sorry.
Salim, keeper
fire
of the fire.
Of the keeper. I'm not sure what I was going to say, but it wasn't. Anyways, you it was who stabbed Salim. You it was who sold us, my mother and me, to the merchant Ali Kabir. Assassin. Your master's blood is still on your brow. Let it be seen by all. These words were spoken with such passionate conviction that all eyes turned towards the Count, and he even put his hand to his forehead as if he had felt Ali's blood still warm. So, do you positively identify Monsieur de Morcerf as the same officer, Fernand Mondego? I indeed do recognize him. Ide exclaimed. Wow, that was rough.
All right.
Anyways,
yeah. So that's kind of in a nutshell what she said. She didn't say a ton more than that. That it's important.
Yeah, which is a bummer because I was curious about the story.
So I'm still not particularly sure exactly about the details of his betrayal. I think it had to do with some sort of emissary or envoy that Ali Tebelin was kind of in trouble with, like the leading monarch of the realm or an adjoining realm. So he sent this officer in whom he had complete trust to negotiate with his life to get a pardon. Then he himself repaired with his soldiers and concubine and daughter, who is Ide, to an island. On this island, there was sort of like just a big pile of gunpowder and explosives guarded by a man with a torch whose name was Salim. He had the order that unless if the news came back bad and Ali Tebelin was in trouble, he was to blow up everything, including Ali Tebelin, his daughter, and his concubine, and just everything.
Wow.
But Salim was tricked into giving away the torch or to extinguishing it, and then all hell broke loose. And that was the betrayal by Fernand, roughly. I think that is how it happened.
Pretty much, basically.
So, this testimony overcomes Morcerf, for she mentions such specific evidence that points to him and remembers him and the events surrounding him so passionately and vividly that there is little doubt that her direct condemnation is the truth.
Plus, he kind of like proves it too, because he's like, oh right, he gets all confused and he's like, wait,
yeah, that's a little bit of a condemning thing to do.
Bit of a giveaway, bro.
Yeah. So I have a note on Dante's here, even though he doesn't even appear in this whole section, in this whole chapter. I mean, So this is the reason that he bought Ide in the first place. This is the best way to prove Fernand's guilt. If he can get a hold of Tebelin's daughter, who was there and remembers the whole thing, yeah, he can prove Fernand is guilty.
I mean, of course he knew about that.
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he didn't buy her to have some sort of romantic partner. Although there's beginning to be some affection between them.
I don't think that was ever his plan.
Nope. I don't think he ever intended to fall in love again, as a matter of fact. So,
Nope.
Fernand. He was ready for the day when he would have to defend himself from these accusations, and he was ready for it. He was not ready for Ide, though. He was probably hoping that she had died. I think he was the one who had sold her and her mother into slavery. So,
yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah. So he was kind of hoping that she was out of the picture, and he could kind of just forget about it. Everything could be forgotten, but nope. It's not how it works, brothers. All right, anyway. Chapter 87.
This is happening at the same time as this? Or
No, this is right after Beauchamp. After Beauchamp tells the story to Albert.
Oh, I see. So that whole time is just...
Beauchamp was just telling the story to Albert about how his father had gone down. So here's how it happened. Albert left.
Looked like somebody was telling a story, because I noticed it was like...
Yeah. So Albert left to go with the Count on this vacation. Then the news broke in the papers. That same day, before Morcerf had read the papers, he didn't know this. The accusations were brought forth. And the investigation proceeded very quickly from there. And then Albert returns and Beauchamp tells him the story.
Ooh.
All right. So after the story, Albert vows furiously to track down the person who made this shameful part of his father's life known and to duel with him. It's just like what you do over disagreements right now. So Beauchamp had learned that Danglars was the one who had originally written to Yanina for the news. So Albert goes to Danglars and challenges him, most naturally, to a duel.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm. So Danglars defends himself. He does not want to fight a duel with Albert.
And he's like, it wasn't me.
It wasn't he.
It was that guy.
It was that guy. He defends himself by saying that he was only doing research on the family that he was planning to marry his daughter into, and that the Count of Monte Cristo had been the one who had originally suggested that he write to Yanina and ask about Morcerf's past.
Oh no.
So this
is like,
I
was just on vacation with that guy.
Yeah. It's like how the tables have turned. So all the pieces like just go right together for Albert.
Domino effect.
Mm-hmm. So he can see now that the Count was the one who had Ide. Like, Ide told the story to Albert before he knew that his father had anything to do with it. So, like, it was pretty clear now that she was out in the open telling the story and that Fernand was connected to it. It was pretty clear that the Count was behind all of this.
Yeah.
In fact, like, even when Beauchamp told him the story, Ide actually said in the court that, like, I'm owned by the Count of Monte Cristo. And Albert still didn't even put the pieces together then, because she said that she was acting of her own will. And she probably was. But the Count had specifically put her in the right place to act according to her own will to get rid of Fernand. So, he's also, like, the Count, like, was pretty distant with him, even though Albert wanted to be the best of friends. The Count was distant. He didn't want to, like, eat any food from their house. Mm-hmm. So it all just makes sense now.
The food.
Yeah, he's just like, I will not eat anything. Sorry, I like you, Mercedes, but I still won't eat your food.
Yeah, there was that whole thing where, like, Fernand was like, please, eat something. He was like, yeah,
no, it was Mercedes.
No, I mean, like, before that. Fernand was like, please, eat something. He was like, no, I'm good. And then Albert was like, I'm sorry, if you would please eat something. He's like, no, I'm good.
I'm not gonna.
So he's talking later, and Mercedes walks out. And Fernand's like, please, Mercedes, do your best to persuade this man to eat our food.
But he just won't. So he's very cool and calm, cool and hands off. He doesn't interact very deeply with the Morcerf family. So he is the enemy. He is the one who has been after Fernand this whole time. Albert figures that out. Albert leaves to go find the Count and challenge him to a duel.
This guy just wants to fight somebody.
Yeah,
he is like,
put him up, mad. He is recklessly angry at this point.
Wrong person. Finally, please say you're the right person.
This is his third duel attempt. In like as many weeks.
It's not worth it, bro.
Yeah. Albert's naturally hot-headed temperament is definitely going to be better
in my life, and they were all for fun.
You?
Yeah.
You've dueled?
Well, technically.
With pistols?
Not with pistols.
Swords?
No, I wouldn't be alive anymore if I did. But with swords, yeah. Well, technically it's called fencing, but we just...
Well, those aren't... You don't kill each other then at the end.
Obviously not. I mean, you've seen how good of a swordsman I am. Not very good.
Well, anyway, that is the end of my notes, and this is some ending. How about we
Dramatic
leave?
music.
Yeah, we're going to have dramatic music. We better for this outro. So, like, this is 1 down, 2 to go. So Morcerf is technically not down yet. He's going to go down.
Yeah.
He's going to go down. But he's not done yet, but he's almost pretty much down. So that's why I'm naming this 1 down, 2 to go. What?
Cataruz is down.
Well, Cataruz wasn't one of the 3 main enemies. It was Morcerf,
Right.
Danglars, and Villefort. So
technically it's 1 down, 3 to go. Because Cataruz was one of them.
Nah, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
He was planning on...
No, remember, no, because the Count of Monte Cristo hadn't kept track of him.
Yeah, he had.
No, he hadn't. He was surprised to see him robbing his house.
No, but I mean, he had... When he was Abbe Busoni, he had told him that...
He actually rewarded him. He gave him a diamond.
But I thought he had also said, like...
He didn't like Cataruz.
Yeah, but I thought in the garb of Abbe Busoni, he was like, you've done terrible crime or whatever, but be ready because the time will come when I will call upon you again to redeem yourself.
Yeah, but he wasn't one of the big 3. Like, if you remember back to the very beginning of this story, like 950 pages ago, like, he hadn't... Like, Danglars wrote the letter, Fernand posted it, and Villefort put him in jail.
Yeah.
So, but Cataruz didn't do anything.
He was just annoyed at Cataruz. He was just like...
Cataruz was kind of a
little
jerk
twerp.
a little bit. Yeah.
I don't like you. I don't hate you, but I don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad-ish that you died, but I also...
No, he wasn't sad. He really didn't care about Cataruz very much.
Like...
But he wasn't going after him.
And he's dead. All right. Finally.
So yeah,
somebody clean that up.
so we're getting down to the end of this book. I think Monte Cristo has said that he is going to leave Paris inside a month to his servants. So like things are wrapping up. I don't know. Is there going to be a snag along the way before it all goes up in flames?
You never know.
You never know. But so far it's working beautifully for the Count of Monte Cristo. He has just absolutely obliterated Morcerf's reputation, and he might obliterate Morcerf himself before
he's
too long.
He's also harmed Danglars' reputation.
Yeah, and he is definitely working at Danglars, and both Danglars and Villefort. Both of them are experiencing major hits, most likely as a result of his working.
If he ever meets Noirtier.
Noirtier?
Yeah. Does Monte Cristo ever meet him?
I don't know. That's interesting because he was the one who actually got him thrown in jail originally because he had this letter that was addressed to Noirtier.
I know, but he doesn't know that.
No, yes, he does. Monte Cristo knows.
I thought he didn't read the letter.
I think he probably got a hold of it. Yeah, he got a hold of it at the end. Yeah, it talks about it a little later.
Oh.
And next chapter that we get into. All right, anyway.
Spoilers.
Okay, so, all right, guys. Thank you for keeping up with us. And we will be out in another 2 weeks, probably, with another episode.
Yep.
And we are having fun. This is great. We only have 3 more episodes after this one till the end of the season. Then we're going to take a break until next fall, probably, when we'll have a complete new lineup. Lots of 1 book and 4 short stories.
4. Well,
4. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
By now we probably have. I don't want to say anything that isn't true, but by now we'll probably have 1 or 2 of. It's not this podcast. It's not technically an extra to this one. It's like a little bit of its own project, I guess. That is also us. But we added 2 people and
we do another project that may or may not be coming out before too long. We don't know. We still have to test.
So by the time this comes out, there may or may not be a second one. So if you
it'll be very different.
Head over and check that one out as well.
All right, and we'll let you know about that if it moves forward. If it doesn't, we don't know quite how it will work out. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Do all the things. Follow the show. Share it. Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Tell us who you would be if you
Yes.
were going to be on the Count of Monte Cristo.
Do that. Yeah.
All right.
Peace
So
out.
we will see you next time.
Mm-hmm.